Hello, and welcome to the Capital Gains Show. My name is Aaron, and today I want to do a movie review about a film called American Factory. American Factory is a 2019 American documentary film. It's directed by Steven Bogner and Julia Reichert. It's about a Chinese automotive glass manufacturing company that is opening up its very first factory in America, and specifically in the U.S. state of Ohio. Most of the film looks at the mundane aspects of and growing pains associated with opening a factory and becoming efficient and profitable. But a decent portion of the film looks at an effort among some of the workers to unionize. And that's kind of the part I want to focus on mostly in this review. Overall, I found this film to be very enjoyable. The cinematography is very good. The pacing is not too fast, but it's brisk enough to keep the viewer's interest. At least it kept my interest. Most of the workers are easy to relate to. It's heartwarming to watch the Chinese and American workers become friends and learn to work together and bridge their cultural differences and grow and help make the company successful. The owner of the Chinese glass manufacturing company, the guy who's opening up his first American factory, he's a Chinese national, and he already has numerous factories in China and other countries. This is, like I said, this is his first attempt to open up a factory in America. He wants to prove that a Chinese company can successfully do that. Ironically, he's referred to by his employees as the chairman, just like how Mao Zedong was referred to as Chairman Mao, the famous communist leader of China from the 50s to the 70s. This is the chairman's first attempt to open a factory in the USA, and he encounters problems that are unique to the locale, and he struggles to find solutions to those problems. Ultimately, he is successful, and I found the chairman to be likable and sincere and an endearing person, although some leftists might not see it that way, since after all, he is a rich capitalist business owner. But think about this for a second. This guy grows up during the Chinese Communist Revolution. He spends his adult life in communist China, and he probably even read Mao's little red book. I've read it. I've got a copy on my bookshelf. He probably read Marx and Lenin, and he, got plenty of communist theory and education and indoctrination, during his life in communist China. But what does he do? He becomes a rich, successful capitalist business owner who privately owns the means of production and makes a multinational company. Here's the thing. You don't see any communist Chinese entities opening up factories in the USA. What you see are private capitalist Chinese companies opening up factories in the USA and other countries. And why? I'll tell you why. That's because the successful parts of China are the capitalist parts, not the communist parts. Now, let me talk about the creators of this film for a bit. One of the directors, Julia Reichert, is a Marxist. To her credit, she did try to portray the factory owner and the workers in a fairly even-handed way, I think, overall. But she definitely does cast a favorable light on the unionization effort by the workers that we see in the latter portion of the film. Let me give you some more context. This film won an Academy Award in 2020 for Best Documentary Feature. And when the director, Julia Reichert, here she is right here, when she accepted her Oscar, she gave an acceptance speech that was very pro-communist. She directly quoted Marx in that speech. She says, "Workers of the world, unite." So there's no secret that Julia is very pro-communist, pro-unionization, and she wants this film to help motivate people to unionize, motivate the workers, right, to unionize worldwide. And it didn't quite work out that way. Let me tell you, I thought this was funny. Because, okay, spoiler alert right now. In the film, the unionization effort that happens toward the end of the film, it fails, and it fails spectacularly. It didn't fail due to some underhanded shenanigans, although the directors try to imply it. But the unionization effort failed due to a straight-up vote. They have a vote that is monitored by an independent third party, by, I think, the Labor Relations Board or something. And this vote that they take among the workers asking if they should unionize, It ended up being like 400 yes votes and 800 no votes. That is an absolute massacre, democratically speaking, okay? That is a blowout. So here you got Julia Reichert, here she is, who is a dedicated Marxist, and she's committed to the collective ownership of the means of production and the unionization of workers, and she gets permission to film a company from communist China as it opens a factory in the US, and she wants to present to the viewer a success story of unionization. And instead, she only manages to get footage of a union vote getting blown the fuck out. She ends up being forced to present a story of how a democratic vote soundly rejects her ideology. Not too long ago, I did a video titled "Democracy is Not Your Friend." You can find it in my videos section on this channel. And boy, did that message ring true in this case. Democracy is not your friend, socialists. And it's not necessarily the friend of the righties either. But you cannot take democracy for granted in terms of being sympathetic to your ideology and what you want to happen. Socialists and communists, all the time I see this, they make the mistake of thinking that democracy will always be in their corner, that the vote will always be pro-socialism and pro-unionization and more workers owning the means of production and more welfare and more free healthcare and things like that. Man, and that is not the case. That does not happen nearly as often as you want to think it does, okay? It cannot be assumed, all right? And if you hinge your ideology on popular opinion, you are opening yourself up to a major ass kicking, and that is exactly what happens in this film. Man, it's hilarious. When that vote happened, the first time I watched the film, I didn't know how the vote was going to turn out. And when I heard 800 no to 400 yes, man, I laughed. I was choking on popcorn. It was so goddamn funny. In this film, the Chinese glass company opens up in an already existing building that used to be owned by an American car company, and the workforce was unionized back then. That company shuttered the factory years ago because it was unprofitable, all right? It was inefficient. It was losing money. They laid everyone off and they shuttered the factory. Then years later, 4, 5, 6 years later, this Chinese glass company shows up, buys the factory, opens up shop, and then they start hiring the locals. The chairman of the Chinese factory, he's vocally opposed to unionization, despite being raised and living his whole life in communist China. He says outright in the film, I do not want this workforce to be unionized, and if they do become unionized, I'll probably have to shut down. So let me tell you, they're an automotive glass company. They sell windshields and windows to other car manufacturers, okay? So Honda, Toyota, Ford, General Motors, they are not going to buy windshields from this factory if the prices go through the roof. If labor costs go up and the prices go up, they're just going to buy the glass somewhere else. It's not the only game in town, okay? The factory won't be able to compete on price or product quality if it's yoked with a unionized workforce that gets everything it wants. That's the straight up truth, and that's why so many unionized factories struggle so hard and experience more layoffs than the non-unionized factories. All right. Now, fortunately, the workforce in that Chinese glass factory, they already learned this lesson from the last time the factory was shut down. They already know what unionization does. So they have a memory, they have a history, and they voted smart. And they shot that unionization effort down, man. Hardcore. I mean, shot down in flames, man. So anyway, this documentary is worth a watch, whether you're a capitalist or a communist. It offers lessons for both ideologies. It shows that leftist ideology cannot overcome economic reality. It shows that democracy is a fair weather friend. It shows that international trade is a good thing. It shows that despite multiple generations of communist education and indoctrination, the Chinese people are very enterprising. They are open to private property rights. They're open to free market competition, and they are eager to earn a profit. And it shows that Marxists like Julia Reichert, there she is again, I know you can't get enough of that photo, they can find themselves in the embarrassing position of having to tell the world a story about their favorite ideology being absolutely slaughtered by the very democratic mechanism that they so religiously champion. Thanks for watching.